certain kinds of people, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yes. Most of the time these videos make me lose some subs, but I do not care. They simply were not hardwired enough to endure the hate. So these people can skedaddle. They don't have the brain power. They don't have the brain power to conceive this message. And also, it's most likely not about you, but it also could be about you. So be aware. Certain kinds of people. Okay. The blacks. I'm kidding. Please. I'm kidding. It's about personality traits on certain kinds of people who do happen. So, I do not like people who make like just one thing their entire personality. For example, now this is where I'm gonna drop subs, because even if I explain it very correctly and very PC-like and perfectly, someone just wants to feel offended. So, for example, being gay, like they make it their entire personality. Why? Like, you will openly know about this person and that they are gay. Like, I don't care if you are or if you're not. Just don't make it your entire personality. Have you seen the Key and Peele skit about someone in the office being like gay and being very open about it and playing like some very strange music, like sex sounds and all that kind of jazz, and the other person who is like his office mate or whatever, he's saying like, maybe you could just cool it down a little bit with the music and everything's so loud and it's like basically like sex noises, and the other one is like, oh my god, you can't handle gay music or something like that. And in the end, like this person thought he was being homophobic, but in the end it turns out the same person who told this person to cool it down was gay himself. That's kind of how I see it with people who make gay being gay their entire personality. Like, this is just one example. Like, being gay, it could be whatever. Sometimes it is kind of fun, but like as a joke, but not like I play onto this thing that I'm a deer. I don't do it at all times, but in certain online circumstances I like to do that. I think it's funny and stuff, but I don't do it everywhere and literally like all the time. So let's see another example. Another example could be a bodybuilder. Like, their entire personality. I'm not saying everyone, but like, I'm just pointing out that one certain example. Like a person who works out and he like a big bodybuilder, obviously if they're like actually competitive bodybuilding or whatever, it is a big part of their life and stuff. But I'm not specifically talking about that person, talking about the person who makes everything about working out, like just throws that information at random people that they work out. Like, oh my god, I eat so much, like I just add that everywhere. And then when someone needs to be like very strong or whatever, and they're like, yeah, that's me. Or needs to eat a lot, yeah, that's me. Or like, oh, I'm so tired, I just I worked out like so much, and like basically just doing it everywhere. Like everywhere. We do not need to know this information at all times, man. You have other personality traits or personality has experienced this. It's like when someone, it's like when you're doing something, let's say, and then you do it just like half a second, like slower, or you were just about to do it, but then they're like, oh my god, why are you not doing it? That kind of person. Or when you were just talking a little bit, you know, just talking a little bit, having just maybe like got sidetracked just for like half a second, and the other person comes in and blames you immediately. Or just in general, when people blame you for something that wasn't fully your fault or wasn't your fault in general. Like at my job, this is where it comes from. At my job, I have like things, like I haven't even been at work at that day, and there was some information that was said and I wasn't there, and they blame me for not knowing this information even though I wasn't there. And then later I tell them and they're like, well, this is common knowledge, but okay, obviously it wasn't because none of us knew about it, so why are you blaming me all of a sudden if this is new information? It's like, it's always like they find something to blame you for, but it's not fully your fault, if that makes sense. Like imagine you come out of the bathroom and you just take one sip of water and then you go back to work, but during that sip your boss sees and says, oh my god, you're just wasting the day, aren't you, or something like that. That thing, that half a second thing, but I don't know why it always happens, and it's always that blame that comes onto me, and I hate that kind of person. And for some reason this happens all the time. I don't know why it happens all the time, and it's so annoying that I just had to somehow point it out. So I guess just the person who is always blaming you for something that you wasn't fully your fault, or something that you didn't do, and then they sort of backtrack but not really, so they still blame you, but they're like, yeah, whatever, excuses. That kind of person. I'm not sure if I explained it correctly, but I think you kind of understand. This thing I probably already explained in some other videos, but I hate the person who is always trying to play a hero. I mean, like the kind of person who always protects someone who doesn't need to be protected. Like there is no problem. There is no problem, but they create the problem, and then they try to be the hero in the problem that they created. Like no one has a problem, but they created the problem, and now they are fighting so valiantly, so heroically. That's a word. Heroically, yeah. And like no one asked, no one needed this kind of protection. No one. It's like there is a word for it. But I don't know what's the word. Like they pick a minority or something, and they say like, oh, somehow this is a problem, what I created, even though it was a joke or something, or wasn't meant to be taken seriously, and they just dug too deep and they try to be a hero, and it's so bizarre. Like I don't know what's wrong with them. And that kind of also ties into another thing, a person who, when I get into an argument with a person, it's like people must understand, in an argument or a discussion, there is a topic, right? There is a topic. There's you and the other person who are arguing, and there's a topic. The main goal is the topic. And then when you try to like talk about topic and whatever, you need to take in the information what the other person is saying, and then take the information so many times. It's so weird. I never had an actual conversation or a discussion or an argument with a person who operates on a healthy level. It's always like they say the most dumbest shit, and honestly, it's probably the best for me to not reply to those. But sometimes I can just sense in their mind, like I can sense that no one has ever said anything back to them, and they always think that they're so right, even though their entire brain is completely collapsed and cannot make one cohesive thought. So I think that what if I just explain it, like connect every dot so they understand that they are wrong and they're also a piece of fucking garbage, and then they would not do it anymore. Like, man, I have too much faith that they would actually understand. They never do. They absolutely never do. They even if they have no chance of, like, I literally do every single point of their argument, like they have nowhere to go, literally every single point, and they are factually incorrect, and they still somehow find a way out to go back into the start and repeat their argument and thinking that they're right. That's why I should probably just give up on these people. Like, it's insane. But I always have that, like always have that belief, like maybe, just maybe they will understand. But I have too much faith in people. After working in customer service for such a long time, I've seen the levels of stupidity that you will never want to see. Like, levels. There are levels to this shit. And there are levels in the comment guys. I'm gonna